तलब उठती थी कि उसको पता ही नहीं चलता था कि उसके साथ वो क्या कर रही है। तो ज्यादा तरक्की कर रहा है, चिढ़ के मारे उसके ऊपर करवा दिया, छोटी छोटी चीजों के ऊपर ब्लैक मैजिक करवा देते हैं। सोते सोते एकदम से उठ जाती, चीखें मारती, रोने लग जाती। वो बाहर निकल के देखा तो उस जो था रात की रानी का पौधा, उसके पास बैठी वो उससे बातें करती हुई खेल रही, जैसे कि कोई बैठा है उसके साथ में उससे बात कर रही है। वो इतनी तेज उसने चीख मारी थी कि जो आसपास के पौधे थे ना उनके भी पत्ते नीचे गिर गए थे, बताता है। 10 मिनट बाद जब वो शांत होने लगी तब वो खत्म हो चुका, उसकी डेथ हो गई। और इसकी रात में इसकी मम्मी की आंख खुली ना तो इसको इसकी बच्ची बिल्कुल साफ साफ खड़ी दिखाई दी बाहर उसी आंगन में। लेकिन सिर्फ बच्ची नहीं, उसके साथ में एक औरत भी खड़ी दिखाई दी इनको। पौधे को काटने के बाद उनके पूरे घर वालों ने देखा कि वो छोटी बच्ची और वो औरत उनके घर से बाहर जाती है। उसके पापा को पीछे से आवाज आई किसी औरत की, बहुत ही मीठी आवाज में, कि अरे कहाँ जा रहे हो तुम। और उसके बाद फिर वो जो औरत की आवाज थी ना उसकी जगह एक आदमी की आवाज आई तो कि तेरे को हम कितनी देर से आवाजें दे रहे हैं, तेरे को सुनाई नहीं दे रहा क्या? अब देख हम तेरे साथ में क्या करते हैं। यूं रखा ना तो दम दम मछलियां रखी थी क्योंकि दोपहर की मरी हुई थी, वो सारी ऐसे जोर जोर से हिलने लगी मछलियां।
जय श्री राम दोस्तों, आप सभी का स्वागत है अक्षय शो पे, जहां पर हम बात करते हैं पैरानॉर्मल एक्टिविटी, घोस्ट एक्टिविटी, ऐसी एंटिटीज के बारे में जो कि आपने बहुत बार सुनी होगी। जिन, पिशाच, कर्ण, पिशाचनी, यक्षनी और ऐसे बहुत सारी एंटिटीज जो अभी भी कहीं ना कहीं डिस्कवर की जा रही है। पंडुबा, ऐसे हम बहुत सारे डिस्कशन लेके आते हैं। आपकी भारी डिमांड पर हमेशा हम एक ऐसे गेस्ट को लेके आते हैं जो कहीं ना कहीं हमें एंटिटीज के बारे में बताते हैं, कुछ रियल एक्सपीरियंस के बारे में बताते हैं। वो लोग जो इन चीजों से परेशान चल रहे हैं, जो अपनी दिक्कतें ऐसे चैनल्स पर लेके जाते हैं जैसे हमारे पास आती है, ऐसी हमारे साथ जो गेस्ट हैं, इनका पहले भी पॉडकास्ट आया था, उस पर काफी अच्छा रिस्पॉन्स आया। आपने कमेंट करे थे कि पार्ट 2 लेके आओ, तो आज दोबारा हम परवीन भाई को लेके आए जो कि हिंदी हॉरर स्टोरीज रन करते हैं, बहुत सारे रियल इंसिडेंट बताते हैं। अभी फिलहाल वो हमारे सामने बहुत सारे ऐसे रियल इंसिडेंट लेके आए जो ऑफ स्क्रीन हम डिस्कस कर रहे थे, लेकिन हमने सोचा कि यार गेस्ट आए हैं तो क्यों ना उन्हें रूबरू कराया जाए जल्दी, जितनी जल्दी हो सके। तो फटाफट से एक बार परवीन भाई से उनके हालचाल पूछ के सीधा रियल इंसिडेंट स्टार्ट करते हैं। कैसे परवीन भाई आप?
मैं अच्छा हूँ अक्षय, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया अपने शो पे दोबारा मुझे इनवाइट करने के लिए, और ऑडियंस का भी शुक्रिया। ऑडियंस को जो फर्स्ट एपिसोड हमने शूट किया था वो ऑडियंस को बहुत पसंद आया, और एक स्पेशल थैंक्स आपके लिए अक्षय कि ऑडियंस को शायद ना पता हो, अभी कुछ दिन पहले मेरा चैनल हैक हो गया था, तो उसमें अक्षय ने मेरी बहुत हेल्प करी थी मेरे चैनल को रिकवर करने के लिए। तो उस हेल्प के लिए एक स्पेशल थैंक्स आपका
भाई। बस देखो, जितना हमसे हो पाया हमने करा। भाई भाई है सारे के सारे जो हॉरर कम्युनिटी में, जितना हो पाया उतना। बस ये है कि कभी हमें भी जरूरत पड़ेगी तो हम आपको रीच करेंगे।
बिल्कुल
ठीक है। तो दोस्तों देखिए, परवीन जी के बारे में ऑलरेडी आपने कहीं ना कहीं तो सुना ही होगा, पॉडकास्ट में भी आए थे। तो ये हॉरर स्टोरी जो है नरेट करते हैं जो रियल सब्सक्राइबर्स की होती है। आज वो हमारे सामने बहुत सारे ऐसे किस्से लेके आए हैं। तो सबसे पहले परवीन भाई से पूछ लेते भाई, आज कहाँ के बढ़िया किस्से बताने वाले हैं?
अक्षय, आज मैं आपको स्टार्टिंग करेंगे हम इंडिया की कुछ स्टोरी से। जैसे कि आपने बताया कि मैं अपने चैनल पर ऐसी स्टोरीज डालता हूँ जो कि मेरे व्यूअर्स मुझे भेजते हैं जी, उनके साथ घटी रियल लाइफ इंसिडेंट्स, और ऐसी ही कुछ स्टोरीज मैं आपको सुनाने वाला हूँ। तो सबसे पहली जो आज की स्टोरी मैं आपको सुनाने वाला हूँ ना जी, ये है झारखंड स्टेट की। हमारे यहाँ पे स्टेट है झारखंड। तो ये स्टोरी मुझे भेजी थी करीब 3-4 साल पहले, और स्टोरी बताने से पहले मैं आपको बताऊं अक्षय, मैं अपने चैनल पर जितनी भी स्टोरीज डाल चुका हूं ना आज तक, उनमें से ये एक ऐसी स्टोरी है जो कि मुझे नहीं पता क्यों, लेकिन पर्सनली मेरे दिल के बहुत करीब है ये स्टोरी। मीन वन ऑफ द ऐसी स्टोरी है जो कि विच इज क्लोजेस्ट टू माई हार्ट। शायद इसलिए कि एक छोटी बच्ची से रिलेटेड स्टोरी है, और मेरी खुद भी एक छोटी बच्ची है। शायद इसलिए ये जो है ना, जब भी मैं इस टाइप की स्टोरीज के बारे में सोचता हूँ तो ये मेरे दिमाग में आ ही जाती है स्टोरी। और जैसे कि मैंने लास्ट एपिसोड में कहा था कि हम सब जो व्यूअर्स हैं, एंटरटेनर्स हैं, हमारे लिए एक तरह का ये एंटरटेनमेंट का है ना जरिया हो सकता है, लेकिन जिन लोगों के साथ में बीतती हैं चीजें उनके साथ तो बहुत बुरा होता है। तो क्या स्टार्ट करते हैं स्टोरी।
2020-21 की है।
हाँ नहीं, 2021 की जनवरी से स्टार्ट हुई थी ये स्टोरी। तो बेसिकली छत्तीसगढ़ में ना एक जिला है बिलासपुर करके, और ये बताते हैं, जिसने स्टोरी भेजी थी मेरे को, उनका नाम है मनीष राम नाम है उनका व्यूअर का। तो उस बिलासपुर जिले के करीब 8-9 किलोमीटर दूर एक जगह पड़ती है, पेंद्रा नाम का कोई गांव है वहां पे छत्तीसगढ़ में। तो उस पेंद्रा गांव की ये स्टोरी थी जो ये सब कुछ अभी मैं बताने जा रहा हूँ आपको। तो बेसिकली क्या था, ये लोग ना गांव में रहा करते थे, इनकी ज्वाइंट फैमिली थी। ये जिसने स्टोरी भेजी, ये लड़का अपनी फैमिली के साथ रहता था और उसके चाचा की फैमिली और उनके बच्चे हुए सब एक ही घर में रहा करते थे, है ना, दादा दादी वगैरह सब कुछ रहते थे। और गांव में जो घर होते हैं नॉर्मली आपने भी देखे होंगे, वो इस टाइप के होते हैं कि घरों के मतलब घर के साथ
If you like audiobooks or audio shows, check out a free trial of Audible. Just click the link in the description.
Welcome to Mind Shock. This is Bruce McGuire.
And Maxwell Powers.
And JR.
Today, we'll be talking about what happens when you die. Secrets of the afterlife.
Oh shit!
If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe and hit the bell notification to get notifications when we upload new videos. And if you like the podcast, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description and check us out on social media: Facebook, Reddit, Twitter, Patreon. Just check the link in the description. Okay, so let's get going. First of all, what are your guys' views on the afterlife?
These these topics are getting darker and darker.
Well, by mathematical calculation, Maxwell, so is the internet. So, I mean, like, we're right on point here.
Go first.
For some people, it's not that dark. The people that believe you go to heaven, or if you're Greek, Elysium, or whatever mythology.
Well, the Mormons, they actually get more than one heaven. They get a heaven with each wife. So, I mean, like,
oh shit! Really? That's
Wait,
awesome.
Can you expand upon that for the people who aren't familiar with Mormonism?
Well, I'm actually not Mormon. I'm not going to, like, disclose my religion to you, but I can, like, say that I'm actually not Mormon.
Come on, we all know you're a Scientologist. Come on now.
yeah, right. We're going to do a separate podcast on that. No, apparently, I mean, I'm not 100% familiar with the doctrine of Mormonism. Maybe, like, some of your viewers that maybe are, like, could, like, chime in. But from what I understand, a man, actually gets multiple wives because he actually has, like, this existence in heaven with each wife after he passes. So I don't really know too much more than that, but
yeah, it's very, very interesting because it's actually a pretty modern religion. It was started by Joseph Smith in Western New York in the 1820s and 30s, and polygamy is a big aspect of that religion. But this podcast is not primarily on...
No. It's not about religion, but, I was just throwing that out there.
Yeah, in general. So, yeah, some people believe in heaven. Some people believe in hell. Some people believe in purgatory. Some people believe in hollow earth and just other dimensions. The New Age believes you can possibly, depending on the life you've lived, ascend and become ascended on another plane of existence where you're not a physical entity, but a spiritual energy entity only. Some people believe you become a star. Souls become stars in the sky when you die. There's all sorts of belief systems out there. Maxwell, what are your thoughts?
Mine's pretty boring. I mean, we pretty much just disintegrate and turn into nothing.
Well, that's dark.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're talking about, like, the podcast is gonna be dark. I mean, that's pretty fucking dark. I mean, like,
yeah, but Maxwell, if you believe in physics and science, if energy cannot be created or destroyed, the energy that gives you your life force, it can't just, like, what happens to it when you die? It can't be destroyed. If you believe in physics. If you don't believe in physics, that's fine. That's cool.
Okay, so I turn into a trillion pieces and turn into a trillion other things. So, like, I'm created into something else. That's fine. But
so,
I become a non-entity as Maxwell Powers. I become a non-Maxwell Powers, and that's it. I'm done.
So let me flip the script here, Bruce. Like, I mean, do you believe that energy just, like, dies, or do you believe it continues forward?
Until I see more. Normally, I don't like to have any kind of fixed belief system, because if you believe, that automatically implies you don't know, and if you don't know for sure, that means you're choosing to have faith, whether you're having faith in science or you're having faith in religion, which the dogma of both are so eerily similar. Maxwell and I have discussed this a number of times. Like, if you want to believe even in something as simple as the basic heliocentric model. I mean, back in the day, people believed in the geocentric model, and there's actually still people today who believe in geocentrism. They believe that the sun goes around the earth, and that model is viable. Even Einstein said that both models are equally viable because it's difficult to know for sure. So you're having faith in whatever dogma or doctrine you believe in, whether it's within religion or whether it's in science. I prefer not to believe anything. So you know what you know, and that's it. Everything else, I kind of refrain from having a concrete opinion because unless I get more information. But just real quick, let's go back to Mormonism for a second. So Joseph Smith, the founder, actually rejected the idea that all people go to either heaven or hell. He actually said there were 3 heavenly kingdoms where nearly all people will be saved for eternity, and a small number of people will not be saved. So the classic historical Christian view of heaven or hell is one heavenly kingdom with varying degrees of rewards. The Latter-day Saints' view of heaven and hell are 3 heavenly kingdoms: celestial, terrestrial, and telestial. And only those who make it to the celestial kingdom will live in the Father's presence. So in the historic Christian view, there's only 2 possible outcomes for people: the new heavens and new earth, or hell, outer darkness. In the Latter-day Saints view, there are 4 possible outcomes: the 3 heavenly kingdoms and the outer darkness. And of course,
Well, go ahead.
And of course, I would be remiss not to mention that obviously those who reject Christ in this life will suffer in hell forever with no possibility of release. And the Latter-day Saints view those who reject Christ in this life may accept him in the spirit world, and even if they don't, they can suffer for a while in hell and then go to the celestial kingdom. So that's pretty interesting.
How do you make it? How do you make it to the celestial kingdom from hell? I mean, like, is there like steps or something? I mean, like, how exactly does that work? I was under the impression that there are multiple layers of hell. So, like, once you're in hell, you're in hell.
Apparently, the goal is to make progress in life, to return to the celestial kingdom and be reunited with the Heavenly Father. I suppose if you do that in hell, you can possibly ascend to a degree. Now,
isn't that theoretically purgatory, though? Like,
yeah, there's a lot of similar ideas in a lot of these religions, but basically,
first of all, I mean, like, let me just cut you off for a second. All of this, like, shit from these particular 2 religions, that's too complicated for me. I just show up for the fucking cookie. I mean, I'm not even gonna lie here. Like, I'm all for, like, unity, community, and, like, religion, but, like, at the end of the day, like, this seems like a lot to take in. I mean, especially, like, when you're being fed this in, like, Sunday school as, like, a 9-year-old.
I just want to mention the parallels between what I just said. Like, it's mostly you're reuniting with source. So if you look at a lot of the New Age spiritual doctrine, or even Buddhism, becoming one with the universe, like a lot of these religions, and they all have the same themes. What do you think about that, Maxwell? Don't you find that interesting? Not just religion,
Yeah.
but New Age spirituality that's separate from religion also has the same exact themes. Like, you came from source, you return to source, whether you call source God or energy or the universe or nature. It's all the same ideas. I think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, but I don't know what to think of it. I mean, you're saying, like, I think you're implying that since everyone is saying the same thing without meeting each other, there has to be something about it. Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm not really trying to say anything. I'm trying, like, yes, that's one of the possible explanations. Or for those who believe in extraterrestrials or angels or whatnot, if they were told, if some kind of entity reached all these different people and told them a lie, that could also explain it. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the truth. I mean, there's various different explanations you can have. I just find it interesting. It's one of those coincidences that how many coincidences are you willing to accept before you say, wait a second, it's not a coincidence, there's something more to it, even if you don't know what that is. There's just something more to it. JR, do you want to chime in on that?
Well, I say, like, my expertise brings little to the table here, but, like, I will say that, like, I find this whole thing very fascinating. I mean, like, you bring up a lot of points, Bruce, I have to say. It is very interesting. That said, I mean, I'm still hemming and hawing around, like, where did these ideals originate from? I mean, like, like, when we talk about, like, the first religion, really, what was the first religion and how did it come to be? I mean, this isn't
You're
a
asking,
podcast.
yeah, you're asking some hard questions now. I mean, some would argue that it's the mystery religion that Kabbalah was based on, and all other religions are kind of a falsehood to disguise the true mystery religion that some people say was actually taught in ancient Egypt as the Atlantean school of mystery. So, and the original religion of Atlantis was actually what was practiced everywhere. And then when the great flood happened, or the earth was decimated by whatever catastrophe, everything started over with certain key pieces of that older religion from the old world order, some people call it that, was fragmented. And then there's kernels of truth left in the Torah, the Bible, the Quran, in Buddhism, in Taoism, in Native American religion, in all of these ancient religions all over the world. There's kernels of truth left, but the absolute truth, the greatest secrets were removed. The apocryphic texts of the Bible, why were they removed? Do you have any knowledge on that, Jr.?
No, I actually don't have any particular knowledge on that. My question for you, Bruce, is since you seem to know more about this than both me and Maxwell, I have a question for you, and that is, how does the Mayan calendar fit into this entire situation?
Well, the Mayans believed in ages. So they believed there were several ages of man, and man goes through these ages, and the world was never supposed to end in 2012. That was the end of an age, and the new age begins after that. So, and again, it's very hard to translate those calendars accurately. The Mayan calendar, by the way, is so accurate. I think it only needed one adjustment every 52 years, as opposed to our current modern calendar system. We got leap year, we got daylight savings time. It's completely inaccurate. Whereas the Mayans was much more accurate and advanced. However, once again, topic for another podcast, but basically the Mayan
Well,
calendar.
that, and this will be posted later on. But I mean, like, if the viewers are watching, please remember to turn back your clocks tonight. But yeah, like, yeah. But
Well,
I understand what you're saying.
yeah, that depends on where they're located, right? We're in Los
Yeah.
Angeles. We're in Los Angeles, but I don't know where most of our listeners for the podcast, they seem to be from all over. But anyway, so yeah, a lot of different views, and of course, we'd be remiss not to talk about reincarnation as well. What do you think about reincarnation, Maxwell?
Uh, I don't really believe in anything. I don't know. I mean reincarnation, I guess in the form that I see it, like the way I explained it, you turn into a trillion pieces and then you turn into something else. That's how I see it, but I guess I misunderstand reincarnation. It seems like reincarnation is turning into another living being.
Yes, basically, it's the rebirth of the same soul in a new body. So the common
But it could be an animal or a spider, right?
right, there's no definite on what the body would be.
Damn, that would suck if you turn into a spider or a mouse, because like you get eaten up by a rat, or I mean a cat, or
I know, but then
that's
you could
not
get,
fun.
Yeah,
but then you
I
could
have
get
to say,
reincarnated.
I accidentally hit a turtle on the highway today, like on my way over here. But
Ah,
I wasn't
shit.
going to mention that to anyone. Yeah, I
Dude,
felt
you're
really
gonna
bad.
so JR is gonna turn into a turtle in his next life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then after he gets run over, he can turn into something else. So it's not like, I mean, the whole point of reincarnation is that supposedly it's either infinite or till the end of known time.
Well, but let me ask you a question, Bruce. Is that where the phrase "old soul" comes from?
Yes.
I mean, like, really? I mean, like, isn't that like when we talk about like?
So
I mean, and I know this from like just dealing with like like children that I've interfaced with, like not just my own, but like also like within my family, like there are ones that like just seem like, I mean, they're not idiots, but I mean they're just kids, like they walk around, they bang their head on shit, and then there's like the ones that like you meet that like they just seem like they're like adults already, even though they're like 5. Like, what's up with that? Is that like, I mean, how do
well,
you identify an old soul?
there's a few different rectifications that can be made there. One, if you factor in everything that modern society is, with all the sugar additives, the artificial sweeteners and chemicals put in foods, if you're around certain kids that are not subject to those, that are not subject to vaccines or any of these other things, and they're natural and healthy, they're a lot sharper then I mean, I started noticing this a number of years ago, even in young adults in the early 20s. They're not very sharp. Like the average person on the street compared to the average person on the street even 15 years ago, 20 years ago. I've noticed a bit of a difference. I don't know about you guys, but there's more of a glazed over look in the eye. There's just less functionality overall, which is
But I mean,
bizarre.
like you're equating that just with diet. I mean, couldn't the same thing be said about video games and exposure to media?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're watching TV or video games or you're looking at some kind of a screen, the alpha wave state of your brain completely changes the way you view reality, and the long-term effects of those changes are still being studied. So we really don't know. But to answer your question, the term old soul mostly relates not necessarily to just a super smart, sharp kid, but someone who just has great understanding and wisdom more so than anything else, more so than memorizing facts. That's what old soul refers to. So someone who has just greater understanding. An old
All right.
person.
Well, let me ask you another question here. I mean, I don't mean to be the one asking questions because I know that's your job, Bruce. So I guess I'm kind of departing from the script here a little bit. But like, let me ask you a question. Like, a child would watch Mind Shack. Would that make them a more able adult as opposed to a less able adult later on?
That's a very interesting question. I guess it depends on how much they'd be able to absorb logically. So, because I
Well,
might.
I mean, look at Sesame Street. Like when you watched it as a baby or you're, a little kid, or maybe you didn't watch Sesame Street, but I know I did when I was a kid. And the funny thing is, like when you have your own children, like you watch it and you realize there's shit inserted subliminally just for adults to like keep them entertained as well. So I mean, is retention really the same thing as exposure?
There's definitely some conflation and overlap there, but I'm not sure how that's relevant to this podcast. But hold on. So let's go. Reincarnation, basically, it has the same theme. You live your life until you kind of sort of get it right. You're a good person. It's linked to karma. Some people believe in karma, some people don't believe in karma. But it's a central tenet of most Indian religions like Jainism, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Sikhism. So but it's found in many different cultures as well. Pythagoras, Socrates, and Plato also believed in either a rebirth or some kind of metapsychosis or these things that are all centered around reincarnation. Theosophy and occultism often circulate ideas
But if you,
based on.
but if you're regenerated and you have no knowledge of your previous life, which by the way, I have to say, not only is that would be the most fucking awesome thing on earth if like we knew definitively that existed, but it's also kind of a shame. I mean, how are you able to become that centered individual that you're speaking about if you don't know anything about your previous life? I mean, we
Now
spoke
that
in a
is
previous
actually
video about
that is
history repeating itself.
that is actually a very critical point in the reincarnation debate, and I will answer it as such. Maxwell, you paying attention?
Yeah, yeah, paying attention.
Because I would definitely like your thoughts on this as well. So
Okay.
basically, you're supposed to remember your past life, but for whatever reason, some people believe that negative demonic entities kind of prevent you from doing so to keep you trapped in a cycle of reincarnation so they could just parasite suck your soul for infinity as opposed to you being able to remember your past lives, which by the way, past life regression and past life regression therapy are a growing field. Once again, just to clarify, I'm not saying I believe in any of this because I
Well,
have not
no,
experienced.
this is all hypothetical. I mean, we're not
I have
like
not
no one's saying that they agree
I
with it.
I have not experienced this myself, so I cannot say I believe this unequivocally. Do I believe in the possibility of it? Of course, because I don't really know for sure. So you're supposedly.
You know what's interesting about the like past life regression therapy? Like a lot of the hypnotists that use it, they don't really have to believe in the actual thing, but if the subject believes in or imagines this past life and it's therapeutic and it helps them heal, it doesn't really matter. So I don't know. I just find that interesting that
I mean, I
knowing that.
understand that from a psychoanalytical point of view, but isn't that kind of dishonest, unethical, and
Um,
possibly? They're like
It could be.
they're
It
like
could.
Charlie. They're like Charlie.
It could be.
Well, I
Like
mean,
they, a lot of
you're going to say that the medical system, Bruce, is like completely ethical and I mean, like, come
Well,
on, like,
of course not. But we were just talking about past life regression therapists. I'm just focused on that for the moment. We got to focus
But
here.
okay. Just I just had to put that in. I don't know.
No,
I just found it interesting.
that is a good point. That is a good point.
And I love past life themes in movies. So go ahead. I
Well,
love
okay,
that.
so back to my point. Some people think that these demonic entities or negative energy, whatnot, it prevents you from remembering your past life. However, spiritual masters or people who meditate become one with the universe, your intuition, your higher self in certain new age and spiritualist and occult belief systems, your higher self is kind of the source of your personal soul. So some people believe it's your future self after you have ascended looking out for you, kind of like your own personal guardian angel, which is yourself. So there's a lot of interesting themes and possibilities here. But to answer your question, supposedly anyone is capable of remembering their past life if they live justly and if they engage in spiritual practice of some kind. Now, also, some people believe that most civilizations in modern society has been hijacked by these demonic or extraterrestrial or interdimensional entities. Some people call them archons, and they're just parasites. So it's in their best interest that you never ascend. So they kind of set up the modern world or influence the modern world. Once again, tie-ins with Illuminati and worldwide conspiracy theories. It wouldn't be mind shock if we didn't discuss all these things.
well,
But
no, I mean, of course not, but
so
I'm going to definitely make an
they
appointment with my doctor and
if
get an Archon screening immediately.
if
Like,
if they have so if these dark energies are kind of manipulating the world specifically so that humans don't remember or connect with their soul in past lives to kind of get it right faster, does that answer your question?
yes, it does. All right, so, I mean, like, let me flip the script here for a second. I mean, like, we've talked a lot about, like, like, what happens to the human spirit. Why don't we, like, like, depart for a second? Like, what about the actual burial ceremony itself? Does
Hold on a
that
second.
hold the
Hold on
key?
a second. Hold on a second. Before we get into that, I just wanted to get Maxwell's thoughts on my explanation for the reason why you can't remember or are disconnected from your past lives. Maxwell, what do you think about that?
Um, can you summarize real quick what you said? Just
Oh
if you
man.
summarize, I can.
I said, what if there's these demonic energies? They want human souls to not be able to remember their past lives so they can continue being reincarnated and they can kind of leech off their physical existence.
That's awesome.
Well, that's kind of
Oh man.
I wouldn't call it awesome. I would say that's really
I
dark.
mean, I don't know. It's kind of like I don't know. I'm thinking like movies. Like I don't know. Maybe you can.
Yeah. I'm going to go fucking hang garlic in my kitchen. Let's just put it that way. But, I mean, like,
But okay,
Well, that's interesting. I mean, I don't really.
some people, so to go into, now we want to get real dark. Let's get real dark with burials. So some people believe, now these are, again, once again, tying in with these demonic entities and dark energies and parasites of whatever kind. They believe that they created these customs of putting a human body in a box and burying it so that the soul would actually not be able to escape and reconnect with your higher self. So
Wow.
as
That's
opposed as
wow.
opposed as opposed to cremation, which the Native Americans engage in, which a lot of the ancient Celts, ancient Druids, a lot of these ancient civilizations, supposedly before the manipulators took hold,
That's very interesting. Wow. I've never heard of that. That's cool.
when you're cremated, you kind of, your body turns to ash and is spread back into the universe, so your energy goes all over the universe as opposed to being trapped in a box.
That's so cool.
I'm actually going to read a Native American poem that references this that I think is very, very powerful.
Let's hear it. Can't wait for that poem.
Yeah, hold on a second. You
this is almost like
impatient,
the intro of King of the Hill. When, like,
you impatient bastards.
hey, look, like, I'm texting my doctor right now about the Archon streaming. I don't know about like I mean like
All right. Well, here's the poem. I've seen it credited to some Native American source, but it's listed as being by Mary Elizabeth Fry right here. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glints on the snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning's hush, I am the swift, uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there. I did not die.
it kind of sounds like a good night poem. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the kind like your mom like would like read to you like when you were a little kid, like, like
Yeah, it's kind of like
your
it's
prayers.
not. Yeah, it's not morbid or I don't know. It's just kind of I don't know. Yeah, it was kind of nice.
Well, a lot of these spiritual beliefs are circled around the human soul being immortal. So it was immortal for all time before your existence in this body. I mean, a famous saying is, we are not physical beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience.
Mm.
So the whole conspiracy of cremation versus burial it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Hmm.
The
Yeah.
oldest cremated body actually found was in Lake Mungo, Australia, dating
Let,
42,000 years ago. It's
let,
known as the Mungo Lady.
well, let me ask you this, Bruce. I don't know what because I've told you this before. I believe in achieving biological immortality and wanting to achieve biological immortality, and I want to live forever in flesh and blood, and like reproducing my body or reproducing another body and transplanting my brain and my consciousness into that body and keep doing it, or whatever in whatever way possible to keep living forever. That's what I believe in. I'm I wonder what you think about that. Like I think you mentioned that we're meant to die or something, or I don't know.
I did not mention that.
Well, let me just interrupt this for a second. You should call DARPA and like express that to them. Like they have like a program for you. But like, yeah, keep
Who,
going.
me?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, if you haven't checked out
Oh,
our cryogenics podcast, you could check that out. Maxwell and I went over quite a few things with that. I didn't say we were meant to die necessarily. For example, Methuselah lived to be what, 960? Some people believe that the actual human lifespan is supposed to be close to 1,000 years, if not several thousand years, and we've been kind of artificially set back through everything, the chemicals in the air, water, food, vaccine. Once again, I'm going through insane conspiracy
Well, no,
theories.
I mean, like,
I'm not.
that's actually, I mean,
I'm not propagating
look,
any of this information as true in any way. I'm just
well,
putting
no,
out
I mean,
there
but look
that
at beavers. I mean, like, beavers are mammals. They don't have fucking time clocks. They can live, like, like, I think that the oldest beaver was something like 200 years old or something. Like, it might have even been older than that. Like, beavers don't have, like, an actual, like, biological clock like we do.
the lifespan of
That,
the lifespan of a wild beaver is 10 years.
yo, look it up. Like, I mean,
I just
yo.
I just did.
Google it's owned by the federal government. Like, yo, you have to, yo.
They
All
can
right.
live up to 24 years, but the average lifespan is 5 to 7 years. And I guess that has something to do with being killed by predators as well. I think you're looking for turtles. Turtles live several hundred years.
Turtles live also several hundred years, but beavers don't have a biological time clock. All right, yeah, I'm not gonna explain to you how I know that. Like, yeah, just I mean, like I have like this laboratory. Like, I mean, all right, yeah, like let's just move forward with this podcast. Like, we're not gonna go there. Like, we're not gonna go there. If there weren't predators, beavers don't have time clocks either.
Actually, bowhead whales live 200 years as well. I didn't know that.
wait, what the hell is a boat? Wait, what?
It's a whale. that can. Let's get to the update from writer Eric Rains. A very interesting development took place on March 27th, 2017, around 12 p.m. Pacific time. A massive false light matrix was extricated from the planetary surface with connections to the moon as well as Saturn being dissolved. This false light matrix has been masquerading as benevolent ET/spiritual contact for millennia and is as old as the soul trap technology, recycling the surface population back into incarnation after incarnation. The Earth's moon is a natural satellite brought here from elsewhere. Technology was placed inside of the moon, both physically and etherically, and the orbit was locked into a non-rotating Lagrange point, locking the energy of the manipulated satellite into Earth's etheric and gravimetric magnetic fields. Once locked in place, an artificial vortex was induced, siphoning everything in the astral with the resonance of source into this vast reincarnation machine. The result was if anyone on the surface of the planet died, their soul would not be able to escape this energetic vortex's gravity. They would be pulled into controlled lower layers of the astral, where preconditioned religious beliefs would dictate into which simulation they were placed in. After a period of rest,
we need to have a video on JFK's space race mixed with this article. I think that
after a period of rest, the person's guides would inform them that they have more lessons to learn, deeds undone, and more things to accomplish planetside, and the soul would blindly step into another incarnation. The only problem being that they are zapped with an extremely strong etheric, nuclear, and electric blast before they incarnate, thus forgetting everything they learned before stepping into the human experience again. Once in amnesia, the matrix programming creates more than enough trauma to slip the etheric implantation systems into the body, and the cycle of feeding begins anew until the person dies, reincarnates, is fed upon again, dies, reincarnates, etc. Here is the major difference today. With the removal of this false light matrix, the vortex is no longer operating. Let me repeat this. The vortex is no longer operating. People are dying every second around the planet, and instead of being pulled into this tunnel, they are finding the highest, cleanest levels of the astral and are receiving true healing. They are coming back already. The children that will be born from here on out are going to change the face of the planet energetically. This is a line in the sand. The dark is slipping faster than they ever have before, and now they cannot replenish the ranks of their food. We can come back in remembering much more, if not everything. This does not even encompass what is happening with Saturn right now. Saturn is how the dark has locked us inside of time. Saturn is the loop in the endless flow of now. Saturn is how we even experience time like we do, instead of multi-dimensionally. The machinery is still working, but the major timeline incursion abilities are no longer functional. The dark can no longer reach back into time and remove threats as they pop up in the now. No longer will the next person to wake up and shatter the matrix around them be eliminated by going and killing their parents 20 years before they were born. No longer will someone manifest their perfect reality only to wake up completely disoriented from an incredibly vivid dream that they felt they were in for years. No longer will someone download how to develop a free energy device only to have all of their work stolen seemingly from nowhere, with no clues or hints given to the world outside on what they were developing. Channelers around the world are going to connect into their guide and find nothing, or actually find the entity they connected to begin with before being hijacked. Men, women, and children across the planet are stepping into their divine right of freedom and personal sovereignty, but we still do not have enough. These developments are amazing, and they are nice to hear what is going on, but we do not have enough of the surface population turning on the light. We came here to do this job. We came here completely blind, ignorant, and weak, to remember the light, find it in ourselves, and spread it to the world around us. You are part of this shift. When was the last time you sat in stillness and connected into you? When was the last time you stretched your body, letting it know through words and feeling that you truly love and appreciate it for carrying you through this reality? When was the last time you turned off the phone, closed the computer, and sat in stillness with just your thoughts? When was the last time you had a question and immediately thought about what does this person think about this, without going into the stillness within and asking the most important question, how do I feel about this? When was the last time you trusted yourself? The shift is coming. We are the shift. Go inside, find the light, turn it on, and spread it out to the world. Shine through yourself, filling your body with pure golden waves of love. See humanity for what it is, not what it appears to be. It is coming. There is no getting away from this shift. Let's bring it on as fast and as powerfully as possible. The lines are stretching. The inner circles of the esoteric information are growing. People asleep at the wheel are finding the information, and sleepers are beginning to awaken. Your job is to be a beacon so that they can find you in love.
God bless the fucking woman that's married to the guy that wrote that shit.
What do you think, Maxwell?
I'm sorry, I got a little lost there.
What a
Yeah,
shot.
I'm with Maxwell. What the hell?
So basically, they were talking about how the false light reincarnation cycle could be true and also not true. So, which was interesting because most people kind of pick a side on that.
yeah, let me just put it to you this way, Bruce. If you put that into a PowerPoint presentation, now you understand why government workers suffer through until they get their pension. That's exactly what it sounded like to me.
There's actually a website called trickedbythelight.com, how souls are programmed to go to the moon/sun at death to be recycled as energy.
How do they know that? How do people
What's interesting is that it's kind of like any conspiracy theory. They have pieces of evidence. Some are strong, some are weak, and they make connections through all of these ancient cultures and civilizations who had similar beliefs, and they draw certain conclusions and lines. Which I'm not, like I said, I don't have all the information. I'm not sure whether it's reasonable to make those connections or not, but I can't simply write them off either because how would we know for sure?
just send me those links, Bruce, because I'm up for promotion next month. So if I could, tell the government what to fund next, this actually has potential.
It connects to the holographic universe theory, which is funny because in modern physics, it's just gaining acceptance now, whereas this is the demiurge in even ancient Mayan belief systems. This is an ancient Hindu thought. These are all very similar concepts where reality is simply an illusion.
But, okay, let me just, stop you there. If reality is an illusion, isn't time then an illusion?
Of course.
So what you're saying is that this is all an illusion? If it's all an illusion, then how are we experiencing it?
Well,
It's
almost the same way as you play a video game. I mean, we need a dedicated podcast on the holographic universe. We've touched upon it here and there in previous podcasts, Maxwell and I and Johnny Mills. You haven't been on with Johnny yet. He's an interesting fella. We'll have to do a podcast with everybody on, as well as Sid Irwin, a Mensa member. So you could go back and forth with him.
Oh boy,
we might have some interesting conversations there. But yeah, basically the holographic universe is, yes, it's all projected, and there's plenty of evidence for the holographic universe theory. There's some major physicists that believe in it. So once again, I'm not jumping there. I think many things can be true. I think many things can be false. The real truth can be none of what we're talking about. Could be some of it, or it could be all of it in one way or another. But we kind of went over different things that can happen when you die. Of course, we probably should mention ghosts. If you have such a traumatic death, people who believe in ghosts or poltergeists or spirits, they believe you will haunt the location where something so terrible happened to you, your soul could not move on.
Isn't that also another form of purgatory, though?
Yeah, in a way, yes. If it's a purgatory in a physical place on Earth, yes. Normally, purgatory is a place between heaven, hell, and Earth, correct?
Isn't that what Earth is? I mean, could we say that
if we're going down that rabbit hole, then yes.
Isn't Earth a purgatory? I mean, are we all born into purgatory?
So technically, in the Roman Catholic doctrine, purgatory is a place or state of suffering inhabited by the souls of sinners who are expiating their sins before going to heaven. So it's kind of an intermediate state after physical death. So it's not.
So it's like sitting through a 4-hour mass, basically, is what you're saying. I mean, but instead it's a lifetime of sitting through 4-hour masses.
Maxwell, do you have any thoughts on purgatory?
Yeah, I don't even know what that means.
Well, I just said what it was.
Wait, what is it?
It's a condition or place where the souls of the dying are purified from sins before moving on.
Hmm.
Some people don't believe it's a physical place. It's just a state. I mean, there's different belief systems with purgatory as well. But sticking with the ghost aspect of it, I'm not sure if we talked about this, JR, but some people believe ghosts are always demonic entities posing as the loved ones of people who died or people who lived and died traumatic deaths in order to kind of scare the witnesses just to feed off their negative energy of fear or negative emotional states.
Yeah, we've never talked about anything like even remotely close to this. I mean, this
Well,
podcast is
I did mention on our Bigfoot Dogman
actually
conspiracy.
quite a departure from our
I
previous
did, I did mention,
podcast.
I did mention briefly in our Bigfoot Dogman conspiracy podcast that that there's a theory that Bigfoot might simply be a ghost of Bigfoot. In which case, I did quickly mention the demonic entities. However, in this specific case, when you die, if you become a ghost or don't become a ghost, so we kind of went over all of the different possibilities. I think now, so let's do a quick rundown. Is there anything we missed?
Well, I think that we should have a future podcast on ghosts because ghosts, to be honest with you, I mean, like in accordance with what ghosts are, people experience ghosts in different ways. As you're saying, like Bigfoot could be a ghost. There's difference between, like a full color ghost and just strange feeling you get where the hair on the back of your neck stands up, ghost. So, I mean, like, I think that the idea of ghosts, Bruce, you might want to, throw another podcast in there somewhere, where we go into depth as to what constitutes a ghost and the differences between a ghost and a spirit, which are probably the same thing, but there may be subtle differences, as well as what is a demonic entity next to what is a terrestrial entity. Just a suggestion.
Well, yeah, and then of course we have to go down the rabbit holes of what exactly is a demonic entity in the first place. Which is it interdimensional? Some people believe aliens are demons. There's a lot of different theories out
Or
there.
if they're leches. I mean, like, I'm serious about that Archon screen.
Let me just do a quick article from express.co.uk. No white lights or angels. This is what happens when you die. A man who clinically died for 3 minutes has shared his experience of the afterlife and found others have gone through the same ordeal. By Sean Martin, posted September 10th, 2017. A Reddit user known as PWNO Graphic
Oh boy.
took to the social news aggregator site to tell his tale of what happened to him when he died. He became ill in a foreign country and was forced to go on a ketogenic, no-carb diet that ended up destroying the lining of his stomach. As a result, he suffered from nausea and was vomiting to the point that he suffered severe dehydration. After checking himself into the ER in his native Canada, he was kept in the hospital for a few days. But during his stay, disaster struck with his body rejecting the IV and hydration. My veins were flat and was unaware that my arm was not taking any of it. His illness eventually got the better of him and everything went black. During the 3 minutes he was technically dead, this is what happened. I didn't see any white lights or angels, didn't hear any voices. I could see, but I didn't have a body. It was like I was on another planet. When I looked down, I saw sand and there was very shallow water. It was like an endless shore. The water was probably an inch or two high, but the best way I could describe it is when you walk on the very shallow end of the shore of a beach, and that shallow end is just endless, like the water never got deeper or any shallower. When I looked up, the sky was purple. There wasn't a sun. The only thing lighting the skies were the blue rays of light with a tinge of yellow on the sides. The feeling was so foreign to me. It just felt like every single problem I had, every single issue, no matter how big or how small, was just gone. It was all gone. Every single care I had was all gone, like the weight of the world was completely lifted off my shoulders. I just existed. It felt like everything was going to be okay and I didn't have to worry about a single thing. It was what I imagined, what the place was like to the full extent. It felt amazing. This was going on for what felt like hours and I was happy.
He was dying and it felt amazing? I mean, wait, let me ask you a question, Bruce. I mean, not to interrupt you, but was this cat actually flatlining or was he just comatose state?
Well, he was declared clinically dead for 3 minutes, so that would be a 3-minute flatline.
Oh, shit. And it felt good.
This was going on for what felt like hours, and I was happy. As medics battled to save his life, he said, I felt this falling feeling. Everything went black and I just felt like I was falling faster and faster. And then all of a sudden there was a huge snap, like my whole body vibrated when you pull back a ruler and let go. That's when I started feeling everything again. All the worries and sadness. I felt really sad. I felt the pain again. After posting his experience on Reddit, the user found out he was not alone. One response read, I've read a lot of near-death experiences and yours is like a lot of others that I've read, which is to say that I think it's wonderful. Another added, you are definitely not alone. I've seen the same NDEs that have similar tones to yours. So it's interesting. Some people just explain this as chemicals in the brain, and they're
Well,
just
that would be my question, Bruce, to you, is that if you're dying, I mean, does your brain just release chemicals that make it feel good because you're dying? Or, and then when he's being brought back to life, it's actually more painful.
well, that's one explanation.
That kind of sounds like the reverse of what you would go. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I mean, Maxwell, why don't you give us your thought?
A lot of people actually say that white light phenomenon is due to just synapses in the brain causing that to happen because the brain is dying, the body is dying, and those are just the side effects of chemical reactions in the brain upon death, and it has nothing to do with the actual afterlife or religion. Obviously, we don't know for sure. A lot of NDEs experience their lifting out of their physical body and observing medics or whatever, if it was the scene of an accident, observing the accident from a bird's eye view from third person, like they're floating above the scene of the accident and just watching. And then if they're saved, they get sucked back into their body. And these experiences are very, I don't want to say common, but among the people that claim them, they have common themes. And they say,
well, wait, let me ask you, let me throw a monkey wrench, because I know we're like spending time here for a second, but like, when my father passed away, I actually remember seeing me standing beside him in his hospital bed from a third point perspective. Could it be that these actual incidences occur outside of death or in the presence of other people dying? Like, if other people are dying, can you also experience similarities to this situation?
I suppose so. Maxwell, what do you think?
I don't know.
Maxwell's
We
always
need to go out for a beer one day, bro. I mean, seriously, I have so much shit I need. And by the way, I'm not fucking with you, Bruce, but I'm just telling you, I'm going to go, into work Monday with the people that I, work with. I'm going to heckle them on the idea, why would the human genome, produce a white light while you're dying because it's brain synapses as opposed to some other color? I'm going to fucking rag them on that for, hours and see what happens. I'll let you know the result.
There seems to be three groups of people, or possibly four. I mean, I've read some NDEs where it's just blackness, and then they're just brought back. So it's like a semi-conscious blackness that they can experience for quite a long time. So there's groups of people that experience the white light. I think that's actually the majority of people do experience that white light going towards the light, and then they get pulled back if they get saved. So other people actually claim to have gone to hell and then come back. I mean, there's all sorts of people out there and all sorts of claims. Once again, I didn't have their experience, so I can't really definitively state, oh, they're lying, or what Maxwell and I have said many times. I think most people are telling what they believe to be the truth. So it might not be the truth, whether they're witnessing Bigfoot or saying they went to hell and came back. I think most people are giving their honest interpretation of what they believe happened. So
do you think that these interpretations could also be written off? I mean, again, I know we're running out of time here, but do you think that their interpretations are actually a post-traumatic extrapolation of their experience as opposed to what their spirit is actually going through?
Well, logic would state that there would definitely have to be a certain percentage that would fall in that category as well.
Okay. I'm just throwing it out there, I don't have any fucking hands. I mean, I'm not a scientist. I mean, I'm a lot of things in this world, but I'm not a scientist.
Some people say there is